Hello and welcome to Torment, Tides of Numenera. So, we're in the bloom, in the vast interior, and we're just about to check out Ioxu. We found his broken dagger. Yep, this is it. And also, the bloom cultists really hate him. Put notes on his house all the time. I suggested to them that they should just leave him alone, but obviously that is not an answer they can accept. I'm like, if you're a crazy cultist, what you gonna say? I'm like, oh my god, we tried everything. Have you tried leaving him alone? I'm like, that guy is obviously just wants to be, like, not bothered by you guys. Whoa! They got a blader over here. Ooh. Let's talk with you, Ioxu, first. Or maybe I should just check his stuff? Nah. Maybe I should check his stuff, so we get a idea of this guy. Inside this device is a sizable lump of bloom flesh. It lies upon a comfortable looking cushion and appears to be asleep. The top of this machine is covered in glass lenses of varying shapes. It appears to be some kind of monitoring device. I see. This construct is equipped with innumerable monitoring devices. A lot of monitoring. Lines swoop and whirl across this leathery sheet, depicting what appears to be a map. Text and symbols flash across the screen. All of it is meaningless to you. Text and symbol, that's the same thing. Let's check out the stuff. Can we interact with this table? Papers lie scattered haphazardly across this desk. So small knowledge cubes gleam, finger-sized implements cast processions of glowing glyphs, and other media lie scattered throughout the mess. Examine the notes and the recording devices. As you reach out to examine the object on the desk, the Varial embarks. Careful! How much time have been invested in this work? And I recall where I placed each bit of data, the place where you found each item. Continue to examine the contents of the desk. Okay, leave the mess alone. Let's talk with him first. I mean, it would be very rude to just rummage through his desk. These tanks contain floating blobs of plant or algal matter. They could serve as a basic but unpleasant food source. On the shelves you see a few discarded notes and old books. A rack of test tubes sits alone and forgotten, overgrown with bloom flesh. This bucket is filled with quivering chunks of bloom flesh and organelles. Yeah, sure. Fine. So, construct, are you functional? Barbs and blades cover the surface of this hulking metal construct. Its scalloped skin looks like a suit of intricate armor, the joints able to bend in directions impossible for a human. Though the construct is immobile, something in its design sparks a friction of involuntary dread within you, as if it were a predator regarding you. Although it looks similar to Wait for Prey, you can hear nothing of its thoughts, as though it were an empty shell. Let's examine it. Alright. The construct doesn't seem to mind your prodding and poking, indeed. It doesn't react at all. By the time you're finished, you're reasonably certain that while it remains basic locomotive and processing functions, it maintains basic locomotive and processing function, its mind has been utterly erased. It's truly an automaton now, lacking any sort of free will. Some of its weapon systems have also been deactivated, though its killing blades are deadly as ever. Who are you? It continues to stare impassively ahead, ignoring your attempts to converse. If it weren't for the faint hum from within its chest, you would question whether it is even functioning. Why don't you speak to me? Construct remains utterly silent. It doesn't acknowledge you at all. Hello? The construct, yeah. What are you? Yeah, tell me about yourself. Come on, get the hint, glass construct. Oh, what is this thing?
I'm ready.
An odd device sits in the middle of the room. It almost looks like a capsule of some sort, but it is covered with ducts and ports and vents, and a strange blue light emanates from it. Cables run from its base throughout the room, attached to various devices. It vibrates with a mild, occasionally stuttering pulse, and when it falters, the field that protects the interior of the shanty briefly fades. Examine the device. I'm a really smart guy. You can do this 100%. The machine encapsulates a piece of bloom flesh, which is wired with various leads. It appears the core is a counter-stimulus device to drive the bloom back. Resonances and frequencies use the flesh of the great predator against itself, creating a kind of energy field that repels the bloom, keeps it from entering this chamber. But the constant pressure from the bloom's hunger is driving the machine toward irreversible breakdown. You don't think you can repair it. Let's not shut it down. It looks like it is active for a reason. Just because you can mess with something doesn't mean you should. This variant looks much like others of its kind. Violet red skin, red eyes, and a tall crest above its head. This one appears to have chosen a male form, you know, for now. He wears thin lenses over his eyes and some strange device encircles his head, with weighted attachments dangling at the ends of long straps. His calloused pointed fingertips are strange, and his garments are unkempt and in disarray. He looks impatiently at you as you interrupt his work, his eyes snapping between you and the door. His crest inflates with irritation. The interruptions continue. What will you have of Yoksu? Why do you keep looking at the door? Apologies for me. The noise and constant interruption from those outside are inconducive to proper behavior. They have been escalating their discussions toward violence.
I'll remember that.
The experiments conducted within this chamber are perhaps unlikely to gain the favor of the bloom. Indeed, the great beast has evinced some displeasure. It's pathetic. Worshippers who gather here to mock have begun seeking ways to stop me and effort to appease their deity. He gives you a hopeful look. I would reward anyone who can drive them off. Oh. It only shows I'm doing something worthy. True knowledge risks danger. You know, you can do stupid stuff that is dangerous without it being useful. Aexu glances behind you for the first time and recoils visibly on seeing Matkina. Can it be? Stories have circulated. They said you were dead, that the Memovira had found you at last. Matkina smiles grimly. Not yet. I'm surprised to see you're still alive, Aexu. I wouldn't have wagered on it. Varian bows. The White Death honors me. Stories of your prowess continue. In the meantime, I abide, gathering and learning, even in the face of protesters outside. He shrugs. But knowledge has always had its detractors. They will do what they must. As long as my work lives on, I care not. He turns his head from side to side, seeing you with both his eyes. What do you want with me? I found this device in the bloom cyst. It seems to bear your mark. His eyes bulge and his flat voice gains a tiny bit of modulation. This scalpel? Where did you find this? This was among the first devices I created to test the bloom. A transdimensional blade that could cut its flesh cleanly and preserve its properties for study. Yes, a thief removed it from my care, and Abacus that entered my dwelling and absconded.
Updated my journal.
Power source for the blade is lacking. Transdimensionality is required. No more such sources are to hand here, but perhaps the Crash Katina in Little Niliash might contain such a source. Should you find one, bring it to this place and I might be able to improve on my earlier design. What sort of work do you do here? Look, smell, taste, measure, understand. Though his voice is fat, you can see the pleasure in his face. Apprehension is the key to knowledge. The bloom is a creature unlike any other, Yet who has taken the time to study its nature? The first is Ioxu. The work done here will illuminate the bloom for those who follow. For decades have I been here. Physical structure, biological needs, behavior, mental construction, known history of the beast, history of its inhabitants. All these things have I gathered. Where does it originate? I believe a twin star holds the answer. A place of howling winds and immense gravity. Fear tells me that this creature is not yet mature. That the years will see its size increase. To what purpose? Destruction? Consumption? Extension? I fear I will never know. Reality bends around the bloom. Its ways twist and turn, but even where stability is assumed, the bloom's presence resists undertaking. It resists mapping. This is the importance of my work, to make secrets known so that all may benefit. What is the device in the middle of the room? The bloom detests those who seek to understand it on a rational level. For some time now, it has sought my destruction to erase all accomplished here. The device generates a multi-spectrum field that repels the bloom's advances. Iox's lip curls. But this means only that it waits for me without. Had other devices not been available to create food and drink, I should have perished here. Tell me about that construct in the corner. Many years ago, it came to my door. It vowed the service to me if its memories and personality could be erased. I did not ask why, just as I would hope to have my own reasons respected. He rubs his eyes. It now serves to protect me against those who would do me harm, most specifically, the Murdans and the cultists. What do you think would make the Bloom cultists leave you alone? Defeating them with reasoned arguments would be difficult. Varian appears to consider. I present no danger to them, not like you. A threat of force might persuade them, but I believe they tell the truth about enjoying the Bloom's favor. To oppose them is to draw its ire. Oh no, I'm not gonna tell you. Do you have anything you'd be willing to sell me? He looks around at his cluttered desk. I do not anticipate the need for these devices any longer. Perhaps they can serve you. Wow, you have a lot of stuff, right? I don't know. Maybe we may check it out later. Not right now though. Oh, it's expensive as well. Damn expensive. Anyway, can't afford it. Can we check out your desk now? Let's examine it. As you shuffle through the Varian's notes on paper, scribbled on dried bloom flesh, dictated into talking data cubes, and recorded in more exotic storage devices, you realize the sheer volume of information he has collected. It is a trove of arcane and technical observations of the bloom, loosely organized into a number of categories. Behavior, self and others. Communication, self and others. Influences, influenced by laws. How to open, how to close, how to divert. History, unrecorded, recorded, observations and conclusions. Every data point leads to a reference in another document. Some of those links are simply notes guessing where the data is located based on the Varian's recollection. If you knew where to start analyzing his enormous collection of knowledge, you might be able to get somewhere, but the volume of information is simply staggering. A team of Aeon priests couldn't process this much data in a year. For a lone scholar, it would likely take 10 years or more. The Varian stopped glancing over as you shuffle through his notes. Instead, he's staring at you. Waiting and watching, it becomes difficult to concentrate under that steady gaze, so you put the notes down and step away from the table. Maybe if we do him a solid by driving off the cultists. I'm just gonna show off these crazies. You're gonna love it. I'm gonna threaten them. I was looking to intimidate them anyway. I just don't see how, or why would you choose this option? Just like, yeah, I'm gonna sign this, I'm gonna chase you off. At least I'm not really seeing like any mad science there, like people hanged upside down, experimented on. Inkpot looks up from his scribbling, his crooked mouth shaping itself into the mockery of a smile. We await your incensions, Vidayaksu, but our god is in pain, so we will not wait forever. If the bloom is really a god, why does it need human help at all? I'm gonna break their fate. But it's not gonna work. He frowns confused. The need is in plain. Can you look upon the swollen flesh of that house and tell me that a poison doesn't fester inside? Did the bloom ask for your help? He dares? No, he simply does not understand. His mouth quivers. It spoke to me of its need. I heard its voice in my mind. It does not need to speak for faithful to see, but this one needs a stronger faith. Oh, I love deception. You said voice, not voices. Those who can really hear the bloom speak of many voices. You're a fraud. You have no idea what the bloom wants. So your god is too weak and impotent. Nah, I like that. You're wrong. The bloom spoke to me about Ioxu. He doesn't want your help at all. Let's do it. Your brazen self-assurance, even though it isn't real, is enough to shake the confidence of the cultist. They exchange weird looks.
Updated my journal.
I may have misunderstood the Devourer's intent. Perhaps I should wait, consult the scriptures. He nods to himself and fingers a few of the papers that adorn his robes. Best not to act rashly where gods are concerned. This is a better option because I didn't say that he is untrustworthy, that he doesn't know the word of the god, his god, but I said that his god thinks that guy is solid. He doesn't want him dead. Okay, are you sure it's safe? No. Farewell, crazy person. So maybe we need to. I suppose we should head to Little Ash. We're gonna come back to Ioxu anyway. And yeah, we got a lot to do. I love that.
I'll handle it.
I'll handle it. This place certainly has character. I don't know. I suppose we need to find a doctor for Ertis as well. As you enter the slum, you nearly crash into a small confrontation. 5 mutants surround 3 guards, dressed in the distinctive garb of the Memovira's enforcers. This must be one of Brusca's Los Patrols. Before you hear them say a word, you already know the mood here is ugly, and it's likely to turn to violence soon. A mutant who looks like his face is full of spores or insect eggs leans toward a disgusted, terrified human and says, "You're leaving a trail of fear piss. Who'd pay for your protection?" We're done with the Memovira. She's out. One of the guards, less faced, pushes the mutant back. It ain't fear piss. It's the spit you're spraying when you talk. Why don't you go hatch your eggs by burying your face in a pillow? Real people are conducting business here. Second mutant, one who'd been observing the fracas, noticeably bristles, thorns literally emerging from his arms, shoulders, and face, and he pushes forward. Every damn one of you looks the same. 2 arms, 2 legs, no surprises. You want to collect our money? I'll make you eat it, and your friends can collect it from your rotting shit. The mutant punctuates each sentence with an increasingly vicious stab of his finger. You can feel a bloody tide rising, and if you wish to intervene, the clock is winding down. Oh, it's a crisis already? Gain the mutants' trust or choose a side by talking to both sides' leaders. The mutants will attack the guards if they get angry enough. Can we talk? Who's the leader? The spiny mutant? The sergeant. Artis? This burly man's face seems to have been partially melted in some unspeakable battle. Keeping his eye on the mutant, he says, "That's your question, but you might want to do it quick. I don't think our hosts want to put off their fun much longer." Perception intimidation suggests that the Memovira's enforcers will come to check on the patrols shortly. Oh man. Do it! Deceptive, intimidating Artis. Do it! Ah, he did it! What a bastard. Memovira's sergeant opens his mouth to disagree, and then he realizes what you're saying. Oh yes, of course, the Memovira keeps a close eye on her patrols. This money is important to her operation, and he sends a backup to make sure none of it goes missing. They are bloody-minded bastards too. The mutant's muscles tense as they lean away. They exchange worried glances. The thugs seem to calm for men whose lives are being threatened. They recognize the words, but they don't seem to believe they are in much danger. Alright. Spiny mutant?
Nothing can stop me now.
Guess what? Ask the mutant leader how the situation started. He snorts. I came to collect their protection money from the Memovira, but the Memovira can't enforce anything. She's weak. Everyone knows it. Look at those poor specimens. They can't even protect themselves. The mutants are notably less hostile than they were. You might manage to escape the situation without bloodshed if you play this right. Right, Alligator. Talk with him.
Ready to take on the world.
Oh, persuasion. The spine-covered mutant's eyes remain focused on the Memovira's enforcers, his mouth drawing thinner and thinner. That's persuasion. Urge the mutants to keep the Memovira's patrol alive. Can you do it? 100%! The mutant's leader looks at his fellows and back at you, and he makes some calculations. We understand you want to stay on the Memovira's good side, but this has to end. Unless you can think of another way, we got to put them down before they steal the last shit in Little Niliesh. The eyes of the mutants no longer glower at you. Indeed, they almost seem intrigued. Did we do it? Well, I kinda... Spy mutant? Can we do it? Ask who is in charge of this area. This arouses tight laughter from the assembled mutants. You'd recognize Gargoto if you saw it. Our prince lives in the tank in the center of Little Niliesh. Not big on mobility, our prince. Laughter resounds again, and then the mutants focus on the enforcers. With a few more well-chosen words, you might manage to avert bloodshed here today. The Memovira's goons aren't welcome here anymore. Back up, mutant. This doesn't end well for you. Alright. Well, he really sucks at talking. Can you just talk to the spider mutant? Ask what kind of leader Gargoto is. The thorny mutant steps back a moment. Gargoto is wise. Gargoto is crafty. Gargoto thinks in circles and in mazes to find the best results for our people. Gargoto almost never takes direct action, says that hasty choices become their own legacy. With a few more well-chosen words, you might manage to avert the bloodshed here today. Now let's just make him run like here.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Alright. Can I just talk with him? Oh. The spine-covered mutant's eyes remain focused on the Memovira's enforcers, his mouth drawing thinner and thinner. Persuasion to Deception. Remind the mutants that the Gargotto would likely not approve starting a war with the Memovira. Ah, nail it. Well, the prince did tell us to keep to ourselves. Heads down, like Gargotto might be angry if these goons die. The mutant's eyes softened slightly, but his thorny fists remain clenched. The mutants no longer look to their thorny leader. They are watching you. They want to avoid violence. Alright. I suppose we're just gonna run in here. It doesn't matter where we go. I just go here.
Ready.
So, we need to talk to the sergeant. Ask what the Memovira does with the collections. She pays us mostly, and the mercenaries who come through the Mars, and bribes to the Sagus Cliffs officials. But she's been falling further and further behind on those payments. He swallows and looks at the mutants around him. I guess not she'll want vengeance if we fall. She needs this money, and she'll use her nasty trick to get it back. The mutant leader shifts his weight as the sergeant speaks, but he does not retreat. The thugs are alert, but they are not frightened. They don't seem to believe that violence is imminent. Alright, talk with him. That's an odd event. Ask how the situation started. We make this route every month. We are collectors. It's our job to bring in revenues for the Memovira from her loyal subjects. Pauses as the mutants break out a raucous, derisive laughter, then continues. But they laid in wait for us and got the jump on us as we walked into the Little Nilyash. The thugs are alert, but they are not frightened. They don't seem to believe that violence is imminent. Take your poxy hides and get gone. You want to answer to the Memovira? So the mutants are okay with this. Uh-oh, step away from the sergeant. Ask how the Memovira might retaliate. Artists will not be able to persuade them. She might indeed send backup, and they might indeed kill us, but at least we won't be paying her blood money. Am I not right, friends? The mutants trust you now. It may be your only chance to resolve this without violence. Alright, do it. Persuade the mutants to let the humans go. Alright. Wow, we're gonna nail that.
I'll remember
I
that.
got the sealed tongue. The mutant's leader looks at his fellows and back at you, and he makes some calculations. As you say, he replies, scowling at his companions. He says to them, "These are deaths we can save for another time, eh? No point in bloodshed with outsiders witnessing." They too look at you, and some unspoken agreement fills their eyes. I don't like this. The reason I don't like this is because I got the line that convince the mutants, persuade them and deceive them, or just persuade them. I don't know. I believe in the persuasion deception check, and I didn't see it. I wanted to see what he says. My guy says, but we didn't see that. I was just like, yeah, I persuaded them, and that's great. Never mind that. Continue. But at least worked out. The human sergeant wastes no time. "My thanks," he says over his shoulder as he hustles his troops toward the exit. "You won't forget this." "Much obliged for your help. The Memovira will hear of this." Ah, would you look at that. So we didn't manage to piss off the Memovira. Or the mutants. No, spiny mutant. Those humans were lucky you were there to help. Next time you won't be, and they won't be either.
Fine.
And Tazon. Crimper? What is this?
If you want a job
You can
done
see
right,
vague figures moving around inside the bubble-like house. It's not clear how they get in or out. And Tazon? A stunning man in formidable garb greets you with his arms wide open. His golden eyes stir a strange, unbidden feeling in you. My friend, he says, spreading his arms. Welcome, I am Aeon Tazon. The sound of his deep, rumbling voice makes you think of a waterfall at the side of the morning sun, beatific and profound. It makes you feel drunk. Deep and rumbling? Alright. He talks further, but you can't really follow what he's saying. At first, it's just such a pleasure to hear that voice, that you feel a sensation like an icy finger on the top of your skull, and the warmth spreading through your limbs cools. The image of the glowing waterfall cascading through your mind dries to a trickle. Aeon Tazon trails off, watching you curiously. Study the man? Are you trying to hypnotize me? You watch him quietly for a moment, and something odd happens. His gaze thickens, drifting away from you, as though you have vanished, as though you are only visible to him when you are speaking. And yet, you still feel that probing warmth within your mind, like fingers searching a dark space for your treasure or food. Are you trying to hypnotize me? No, not trying. Trying requires effort, and the effect is quite beyond my control, he says with a slight, genuine smile. The effect is caused by my passion for studying the web of connections between people, even separated by words or... He pauses, his smile fading. Death, even in death, connections persist. I'm surprised he's still as coherent as he is. Oh well, it's just a matter of time. What? His humor continues fading. He seems thinner now, frailer, less human. His voice is dry, papery, ancient thing. What? Now your voice is dry and papery? My studies took me all over this world and to lands beyond the stars before I finally came to the bloom. Here my hunger took on a more literal meaning. With careful hands he opens his clothing, exposing a maw, one of the bloom's sentient mouths. You sense oddness beyond it, a gateway to a place beyond this one. I told you that my studies changed when I came to the bloom, he says. One of the maw's and tentacles winds around his wrists. This is how a maw claimed me. Now we both feed, quite harmlessly, mind you. One on the connection between people. I understand the sensation can be quite pleasant. The tentacle slips reluctantly from his arms. If you wish to feed us, bring a close friend to visit us. We will be here. I brought an ally to feed you, as you ask. What would any of them satisfy you? Tazon closes his eyes and concentrates. A silky heat fills the air. You feel comfortable, lazy, happy. He holds one hand before him, centered on your chest. Then his finger moves to Aligern, over to Eratis, past your shoulder to Atkina. A vast smile consumes his face. Declare a name and I will feed it. On second thought, I don't want to feed you right now. Bye bye, crazy person. Understand, he says, nodding and smiling. This is not even tempting. I wonder if I had Rin at this point. Could I feed her to the guy?
On my way.
That would be quite a way to die. I'm saying this because games usually don't allow that.
I'll handle it.
Your children are usually invincible. This filthy old man is dressed in a motley of rags arranged artfully to emphasize the inhuman reach of his needle-like fingers and the two protruding humps on his back. As if his mutations are a source of pride, he wears smoked goggles on his forehead, parked above his transparent eyelids and his noseless face. His teeth are small, even, and shining white. He shows them often as he smiles to himself. His pockets are filled with trinkets and baubles that he has picked from the piles of trash. He raises his hand and says, Well, have we here? Who comes to disturb old Crimper? Have you come to search through this bounty with me? You are welcome to share. He looks at you keenly. Share? You here? What are you doing here? He lowers his head and grumbles. Hey, yeah. What does it look like I'm doing? I dig and I answer questions for fools. Not everything is a trash heap is trash. But waste rules abound. Why waste? Why waste indeed? He comes through a mound of trash with uncanny speed and precision. Tourist. Always bothering Crimper. Have you ever found anything valuable here? His tone instantly softens, sounding almost pleased. Oh, yeah, people lose all kinds of treasures in the trash. He sits back and pushes up his goggles. Unexploded detonations. Blocks of metal that spark and steam with nanospirit swarms. A marble with a cloud of insects inside. Half-used healing injectors. He beams. Cole Lockstrian as well, even. That brought me many shins. Oh no, perhaps Crimper was wrong. Perhaps this one is interested. What is the best item you found here? Yeah, it was this. He fumbles around in his pocket, slapping at his shapeless legs before he reaches a hidden stash and pulls something out. It's an ugly, vomit green cylinder made of organic material, about half the size of a forearm, covered in knots and whorls and tendrils. It looks like it might still be alive. I found this a year ago. It was buried near Garkuto's tank, and I would have missed it if it hadn't wriggled. Listen. He squeezes it and sets it down, and the thing begins to sing in a slow, discordant tone. The device shivers and rolls around on the ground, hooting and piping through tiny mouths in its tendrils and whirls, and then issues a melancholy belk. The mouths close and the thing ceases its movement and sound. He titters a bit. I laugh every time. I had to shed blood for this one. Hey, yeah. Some human thought to take it from me. He drops it in one of his outer pockets. It was my only comfort. The night young Cotley disappeared. Helped me through it. It did.
I'm gonna steal your $100.
Nah, you can have it. It seems like Little Liliash has an awful lot of trash. This is the middle of the bloom, to be sure. I've crossed through many chambers and cavities, and none of them have this kind of refuse. The mutants do not make this much mess. The new piles of garbage appear daily. So much work. Okay. I'm not gonna steal your stuff. Farewell. Aye, child, you ask plenty of questions, but the refuse and the hidden treasures here. But not so much about finding treasures of your own. Have you ever dreamed of picking your future from the ground? I can show you, oh yes. An apprentice, maybe? I haven't had someone learn from me since young Cotley. I'd rather be dead than be caught picking through the trash, Crimper. Forget it. I can right now, but if the offer stands later, I'll be back. Hey, I've yet to find spare time in these heaps. He chortles wetly at his joke. So be it. When you the desire to learn, come to see Crimper. Pick your time wisely. I don't know. I don't really want to be I don't know. Just picking through trash. I feel like we have better stuff to do. So this is the vast interior. This is where we came from. Katina interior.
Why not?
Wandor? What is this? This structure was built in a style you've never seen before. The stone is pitted and ancient. As you approach this bulk of stone and fur, it starts to move, becoming less of an inanimate object and more of a man. Before you stands a giant figure with a beard so thick it seems like sculpted granite. But when you see his gentle eyes, a tangible wave of peace washes over you. Really? I'm happy to see you, Adon. He speaks carefully, as though every word is a step upon icy ground. You have been gone too long. Peacebringer. It would be good to repay my debt to him. He's a good man. I'm not the man who think I am. Yeah, that's it. Allegren grunts, but doesn't comment on your words beyond that. I know. Possibly would have been better to just pretend to be the changing god. Gentle confusion crickles the mutant's stony brow, making a sound like boulders shifting against one another. It is me, Adon, he says slowly. Wonder, perhaps it has been too long. Perhaps you don't remember me. Shoulders sag as he says this. Can I just anamnese and try to remember? It was a joke, Wonder. How could I forget you? I love that. I'm sorry that I made you unhappy. I told you I'm not Adon. I'm just gonna be direct. You don't have to spare my feelings, Adon, he says with a gentle sigh. You must help many people. It was foolish to think you would remember me. It does not matter. I will help him if I can. Fine, whatever. I usually suck with names, but actually don't forget entire people. I'm like, that's just gotta be crazy. Why have you returned, Adon? Why have you returned, Adon? Can I help you in any way? I'm not Adon. I go by the name Last Cast of These Days. I picked it up because my manager recommended it. It said like it is the thing that the new generation wants. Like it would sell all the albums, so that's what I'm going with. Are you, Wonder? Better than before, he says shyly. Better than before we met. Then there was sadness in me, rage and sadness fed by many thoughts. But you found the stranger inside me and took it out. He spreads his rocky palms. Since that day, I felt peace. Sadness at what? Rage at what? It no longer matters. Who was this stranger you mentioned? I do not know, he says, shaking his head back and forth 4 deliberate times. But it entered my head in an ancient accident. It was heavy like a golden stone. It made my thoughts faster but sharper. They made me sad. They made me angry. The warmth of his smile ripples across his face. But you told me you could help. You took out the device, took away the dangerous thoughts, leaving me calm. Simple joy fills his eyes. You said you had more use for thoughts than I did. What accident? I don't remember. The stranger held the memories and the pain, and the stranger is gone. Gratitude warms his face. You took it. What were the thoughts? Like, we got the thing that Ertis has? They are hard for me to remember now, he says carefully. But it was my voice. You should not have left them. It said, they are gone because of you. It said, you must learn from this. It said, he shifts uneasily. But when I tried to learn from the thoughts, they increased. They shouted. They would not leave me alone. I do not know what they mean. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't need to know. That is very good. I mean, like, I believe a lot of people just try to make sense or try to learn from bad experiences, and it makes sense. You know, you might learn from it. You definitely don't want to make the same mistakes twice, but you definitely want to make mistakes because mistakes means you're trying something. But my point is, some stuff just happens because it happens, and it doesn't always have an answer, or it doesn't always have an answer you like. Sometimes, you know, just like, hey, it just sucks. There's no point to it. There's no reason to it. There's nothing to learn from it. Where there's nothing it is just sucks. So you don't have to make sense of it. Just like, that happened. That sucks. You gotta accept it. And yeah, just go with it. Unfortunately, I think you can help me open Antoson's maw. What? Wander turns ponderously to stare at the man who stands some distance away for several long moments. Of course, he says, nodding so forcefully that his body sways. Anything for you, Adan, anything. I will join you when you speak to him next. Okay. Yes, Adan, farewell. Farewell to you, Wander.
Look out below! Above! Sideways!
We will! At this, we will! Did you see that? See what?
Something moved in there. I didn't see it. Me neither.
That's it! This is a good time to take a break, so hope you guys had fun. Tell me if you did, and see you around then. Have a good one.